Dr. Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind, page 195, wrote, "We each have the ability to choose what we will do with our lives, and we're unified with a law which automatically produces our choice. While we do not have the ability to destroy the idea of ourselves, we do have the ability to make it appear discordant, but we cannot destroy the divine image. So let us remember that back of the one which we see in the mirror is the divine image." New Thought writer Chris Michaels wrote in Your Soul's Assignment, "If every person knew they were loved and accepted by God exactly as they are right now, the world could be instantly transformed." So please look at the screen or the front of your program and say the affirmation of the month with me with conviction. I joyfully take the deep dive beyond the surface mind, deeper into self-love, making connection with the divine love that I am. I now know it is all God, and my life is now a living miracle.
So we often look at what is the metaphysical message that is behind these holidays that are celebrated in our culture. And so Easter, this is the time of year that we look at the concept of Easter. And Easter, from that higher perspective, from the metaphysical perspective, is really all about the shift from seeing everything through the eyes of the material, that we are these bodies, in this, separated from each other, in this realm, kind of getting along the best we can, kind of that material way of looking at life, to moving and shifting into seeing that we are pure spirit, that we are pure consciousness in a body, animating a body, at least for this period of time, in order to discover, express, demonstrate our divinity. And with that awareness, life changes dramatically. Just that simple shift. And because we are immersed in this culture with the media and everything else, and our five senses kind of tell us that we're separate, it is a continual return over and over again to this awareness of who we are in truth, this spirit essence. So this month is really about that connection, making that connection to something that already exists. And what we realize as we make that connection is that all the thoughts that we send out, the thoughts and words that we send out mentally, spiritually, become our life. This is the crux of the teaching that we have here. Our thoughts become things. Our thoughts, our belief structure becomes our life. So this month, as we deepen into the things that we can do to deepen this awareness, this connection to the sacred self, which is our true nature, we develop what I like to call a miracle mindset. This whole year is about miracles. Miracles being the downloading, the expressing of the qualities of God that we are in truth, in ways that seem extraordinary to most of humanity. So the miracles principle is simply this. And Carolyn mentioned it last week. It's based on the 62nd Psalm, which says, "Wait only upon God, for my expectation is from Him." If we expect great things from the divine through and as our lives, the principle goes like this, that miracles pop up all over. I like that. With spring coming up, miracles are popping up all over. So that is the outcome of our deep intentions and our actions toward making time for the connection and for practicing it throughout the day, connecting over and over again. Oh yes, this is all spirit. This is all the activity of one source, one life, one presence, one power, individualized, diverse in all of its different expressions. And if we expect great things from the divine within, then what do we get? Great things. So I'm going to invite everybody to pop up for a second, and let's affirm that. Let's make a decision. You know, there's great power in decision, because our entire subconscious, which is the law, moves into action and starts working on it. So here we go. You ready? I have decided to expect great things.
I have decided to expect great things.
I expect miracles.
I expect miracles.
Now let's do it with the power mindset, with the arms up, head, shoulders back. Okay, so we have our hearts open. You ready to receive? I have decided to expect great things.
I have decided to expect great things.
I expect miracles.
I expect miracles.
That's how it works. It begins. That's how it works. Okay, so you can have a seat now. Boy, we really got into that, didn't we? So there are two really powerful ways. There are actually many ways that we in the Science of Mind teachings, we have three basic pillars that deepen us into this connection and into this miracle mindset. And the first one is meditation. And you know, there's a lot of science out there that talks about what happens in meditation. In meditation, well, in people's normal lives, let's put it this way, for most people, the limbic system is in charge. It's the midbrain, the emotional body, and it's programmed according to what our beliefs are, and the tendency will be to go on automatic pilot and to react to our lives, to whatever's coming up in our lives with old patterns. You know, there's kind of like an unconscious way of going through life, sleepwalking through life, reacting, you know, in ways that we have over and over and over again in the past. What happens with meditation when it's persisted with is that it develops the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, which, when that is developed, works in concert with the limbic system, but it has the executive function. It is in charge, you know. So that means that prefrontal cortex is the part of us that's awake to the consequences of our choices, and moves into conscious action to choose not to do something we know that's detrimental, that may have been a habit in the past. So meditation helps to strengthen that ability to stay conscious, to choose what's right for us and good for us, and also just to stay aware of our connection with all of life. And the more that we practice, the more that we strengthen that aspect of ourselves. We live more fully as the divine masters that we are created to be. I love that kind of research. It just affirms what the mystics have taught for years. But science is really helping the whole field of spirituality with these wonderful findings. So last week, Carolyn covered many, many things. She gave me kind of a synopsis of her talk, which sounds like it was wonderful and inspiring. And I also want to thank Candace for her talk, which I heard was wonderful, and Reverend Anna Marie. I just feel like we have amazing, talented people in this community. We're really blessed. So last week, the main crux of that whole talk was about that there's nothing to fear by going within. There's nothing to fear by going into meditation. You know, one of the resistances that they have found scientifically why people don't meditate is they're afraid that they'll go within and they're afraid of what they're going to find. Mm-hmm. But the truth is you're just talking about surface mind. Surface mind may have all kinds of stuff going on, you know, all our belief structure. But when you dive below the surface mind, you get in touch with this very sweet presence of divine love that you are in truth. And as you do that more and more often, you become acquainted with that as your truth and your reality, so that you can go through life from a place of love. So meditation is powerful for getting ourselves established in the miracle mindset. Again, the miracle mindset being demonstrating the qualities of the divine: love, peace, joy, abundance, balance, harmony. So today we're going to go deeper, and going deeper into the sacred through this very thing, which is the importance of loving and accepting ourselves and others exactly as we are in the moment. And what does that do? It helps us to stop fighting with life and resisting and creating a lot of stress. And it helps us to relax and allow the sacred self, that beautiful pool and presence of love that we are, to come up to the surface and be the being that we really are in truth. Simply by loving and accepting ourselves and others exactly as we are. Now, the thing that's beautiful about this is when we have access to that beautiful fount of love and wisdom, it gives us solutions to whatever's going on. So what I love is the idea that experiences in our lives come to pass. You know, they're temporary states unless we stay stuck in the rut of our old ways of being. So when we realize they come to pass, and when we let go and trust that, let go and love and accept things as they are, it allows us to come up with new ideas, new awarenesses that keep us moving up, up, up into higher consciousness. Up, up, up. The thing about loving and accepting self and others that's very different from the way many of us have been raised, and I'll talk about myself here, is this is not about trying to be perfect, to say the perfect things, to do the perfect things, you know, which is perfectionism and which is a stress out way of living. It's exhausting trying to be perfect. Anybody attest to that? So love and accepting self and others is a different way of approaching things. It is really more about embracing our already present wholeness. And when we embrace, we integrate. We become integrated. You know, integrity is really about wholeness. We embrace all the aspects of ourselves, and then something really magnificent comes out of that because we relax and we allow the flow of divine wisdom. So we know that trying to be perfect is not the path. It's not the path. It's about embracing wholeness. There's a beautiful story, a Sufi story, that I want to share with you that illustrates this. One afternoon, Nasruddin and his friend were sitting in a cafe and sipping tea and just reflecting about life and love. And so Nasruddin's friend looked at him and he said, "So Nasruddin, why did you never marry?" And Nasruddin thought about it for a moment and he said, "Well, you know, throughout my life, I did meet many women. For instance, in Cairo, I met this woman who was beautiful and intelligent, but she was unkind. So that didn't work. And then when I was in Baghdad, I met this woman that was kind and generous, but we didn't have a lot in common. And so year after year, decade after decade, I would meet these different women, but there was always something missing. And so anyway, he said, but then one day, I found this perfect woman. She had all the qualities I wanted. She was intelligent, she was beautiful, she was kind, she was generous. We had all kinds of things in common. And so Nasruddin stopped and reflected on it a minute, and his friend looked at him and he said, well, why didn't you marry her? You know, he's kind of curious, what's going on? And Nasruddin reflected and he said, well, it seems like she was looking for the perfect man. So this is what happens, you know, when we are into perfectionism. You know, this is different from being the whole perfect, complete being that we already are. This is about, you know, this thing about perfectionism, not accepting our humanness. What we give out comes back. He kept looking for the perfect person, so he ended up choosing a woman who was looking for the perfect man, and she didn't think it was him. So love and acceptance, then, is a beautiful and powerful mindset for creating miracles in our lives and for learning to really enjoy one another's with all of our humanity. What we might call flaws and mistakes and shadows, but we also know that's part of our humanity. That's part of our wholeness. So in order to facilitate this process of embracing our humanity, despite all the seeming flaws, I have 3 questions that I wanted us to contemplate that I think will help us deepen into this. And the first one is, are you willing to be true to yourself even if it disappoints others? Are you willing to love and accept yourself no matter what so that you can move forward? And are you willing to affirm your divinity and live from its presence? So let's take the first one, and I'm going to start the first one with a story. There's a story about a lighthouse keeper. And he was given a supply of oil every month that would last for the month and keep the beacon burning for all of the ships that came through the area, very rocky, tumultuous area. And one day a woman came to him and said, you know, I could use some oil to heat my house and keep my family warm. And so, you know, he thought about it and he said, yeah, certainly I can share some of that. And then another man came and said I could use some oil to grease the wheel on my truck. And he said, okay, sure. And pretty soon, one after another, people got word that they could come and ask him, and he would give in to their requests. Well, it came toward the end of the month. The supply ran out. And that night, several ships were wrecked and lives were lost. Now think about what this means for this first principle, which is, are you willing to be true to yourself, in this case, his role, even if it disappoints others? Well, you know, when the investigation took place of what happened, and he apologized, but it was made very clear that he had not fulfilled, he had not been true to his role. He had not been, and that's similar to us being true to ourselves. So as a result of him thinking that he was being compassionate, he was not fulfilling what he needed to fulfill, his purpose. These kinds of situations can be really tricky. That's where our divine guidance comes in. And it's really important for us to listen to that guidance, to be true to that guidance, so that we are more able to fulfill what our purpose is in life. And it may disappoint others at times. So the second one is, are you willing to love and accept yourself no matter what, so that you can move forward. You know, the Bible and many other sacred texts have, and stories that we hear about all the time, give us countless examples of those who overcame their seeming human shortcomings to live miraculous lives, to be living miracles through divine connection. Abraham might have been considered too old to do what he did. Isaac was a daydreamer. Jacob was a liar. Leah was considered unattractive. Joseph was abused and abandoned. Moses had a stuttering problem. Gideon was full of fear. David was an adulterer and a murderer. Elijah was suicidal. Jonah ran from God. Job went bankrupt. Peter denied Jesus. The Samaritan woman was divorced more than once, and Timothy had an ulcer. That's what it said. But the point here is no matter what's happened up to this point, the past has no precedent. That's a Science of Mind. That's an Ernest Holmes statement. Has no precedent on what happens from this moment forward if we stay in a place of choice and if we are willing to go deep within and make that connection to the source, the substance, the supply, and the presence of our own being, which is pure love, pure awareness, pure wisdom. Abraham Lincoln, after he lost many elections. How many of you knew that? Many, many elections before he became president. And one of his sayings, which I think shows such deep self-compassion and acceptance, is this. He said, when he lost yet another election, he said, "It was a slip, but not a fall." It was a slip, but not a fall. What a great attitude. It was a slip, but not a fall. So, are you willing to love and accept yourself enough to see your shortcomings as just part of your journey? That, when we look at it from this idea of everything's working together for good, our so-called shortcomings or challenges are all part of our makeup that motivate us to more freely, fully, and expansively express our divine nature. That's shortcomings properly viewed from my perspective, is that there's good in everything, and there's good in that as well. So living from this place again is how we cultivate a miracle mindset. So, number 3, are you willing to affirm your own divinity and live from its presence? One of the things that Jesus said was, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." To many people, that would sound like arrogance, right? Sound like arrogance. But it was a statement of truth. It's a statement of not only his truth, it's a statement of our truth. Because you know what he said? He said, "These things and even greater you shall do. Ye are God's children of the Most High." He was not saying, "I'm exclusive." He was inviting us in to the same miracle mindset, the same truth of who we are. This is the consciousness from which miracles take place. So I'd like everybody, you can stay seated or stand, it's whatever you want to do, to repeat with me, after me, "All authority in heaven, on earth has been given to me." Is that too much, or should I break it up? I'll break it up. All authority in heaven and on earth, has been given to me. Put your hand over your heart when you say that. All authority in heaven and on earth, has been given to me. That's a beautiful gift, isn't it? To realize that. It's not arrogance. You can say that from a place of complete humility, knowing that this is my nature. I have a responsibility here. All authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. And then repeat after me, I have a miracle mindset.
I have a miracle mindset.
So here's a way to put it into practical use each and every day. This has to do with the inner critic. That voice in us that says, not good enough, not lovable enough, not, whatever it might be that goes on in the mind. We know, though, that this kind of thinking creates stress in our being and can lead to all of the things that stress does. So when we hear an inner voice say something to this effect, who do you think you are? This is what you can say from a place of awareness. You ready for this? I am glad you asked. For I am a child of God, just like everyone else. I have the same authority as Jesus to reveal heaven on earth through my thought and spoken word. My mind is of the mind of God. It is fresh, clean, clear, and creative. And I use it wisely and for greater good. Isn't that beautiful? I pulled different things together in that because there were just certain things. And actually this particular affirmation, my mind is fresh, clean, clear, and creative, is one of my current affirmations that I've been using. So the key is we have a conversation with ourselves. Firmly, gently, and kindly. You don't get into a battle with it, but just return to spiritual truth. Isn't that what spiritual mind treatment is? Spiritual mind treatment is all about telling ourselves the truth about who we are, what God is, and as a result, that is revealed. That is revealed in our lives, that truth. So another way to handle the inner critic is when people want to offer you a compliment. And how many of you, maybe a little unconsciously sometimes, don't completely accept it in one way or another, like, oh, this dress, or, whatever it might be. And it could be even subtle. I see myself doing it sometimes, not completely, like taking a moment. And, one of our dear friends in this community does this. You rub it in. You actually take it in. You don't just let it go by, but actually take it in and receive it. So here's a beautiful way to respond to that. Thank you for noticing. Thank you for noticing. So if somebody says you did a wonderful job, thank you for noticing. If somebody says, you have a great smile, thank you for noticing. You have a great laugh, thank you for noticing. And you could even add to that, I am awesome. Thank you for noticing, I am awesome. Right? I would say, I am awesome instead of I'm awesome. So what I'd like you to do is turn to somebody, a neighbor, and share something with them that you notice, their presence. Many of you know each other, you've known each other for a while. Something that you enjoy about that person. And then the only response that I'd like you to give each other is, thank you for noticing. And if you want to, you can say, I am awesome. Okay? Go for it. Try rubbing it in too. Rub it in. Rub it in. That feels good, doesn't it?
been wanting to tell people that for a long time.
I bet you have. Because you know you're awesome, right? So this is how it works, my friends. You know, this is the thing for today. As we love and accept ourselves and others exactly as we are, we move into a state of wholeness. We're integrating all aspects of ourselves. In that, we relax. We stop fighting and judging. And then what happens is we allow the flow, you know, that relaxation allows the flow of divine wisdom, our sacred self, love, to come to the surface to inform our actions and our thoughts. And so we are living miracles. We walk around as living miracles, distributing the beautiful qualities of God wherever we go. Now, how cool is that? And so it is.